teacher has his arm around a 16-year-old's shoulder. They're walking slowly across a high school field down a hill back toward the school. Random hands are holding the kid up from both sides. Nobody in this group understands yet that every minute matters. At the nurse's office, she runs through the standard questions: the year, the president, his mom's name. He gets the year wrong by 4. He names the last president, not the current one. When she asks for his mother's name, he stalls for 10 full seconds. Then he finally comes up with it and acts like nothing about the pause was unusual. That kid is James Clear. This is the opening of Atomic Habits, his 2018 book about how small habits compound. The day is the last Tuesday of his sophomore year, 2002. A few hours earlier, a classmate was swinging a baseball bat. It slipped. It flew. It hit him hard enough between the eyes that he can't remember the impact happening. His dad played minor league for the St. Louis Cardinals. James grew up expecting to play pro too. Before this school day is over, he'll stop breathing twice and end up in a medically induced coma in a different city. And the book that story opens is about what he did after. James was a baseball kid. That was the whole shape of his identity at 16. Practice, pickup games, the sound of aluminum bats on a summer field. The kind of kid who could tell you, eyes closed, the weight of a bat in his hands. Summer was coming. The season was about to open up. There wasn't a single thing in his life that didn't flow through baseball. On the last day of school, he showed up to something casual. Someone was swinging a bat. It slipped mid-swing and came toward him. He doesn't remember the impact. His nose was crushed into a U-shape. Before the ambulance reached him, he'd lost consciousness. At the first hospital, he stopped breathing entirely. A nurse pumped each breath into him by hand, while another pushed a stretcher along a bumpy sidewalk toward a helicopter pad. His mother climbed in beside him. She held his hand the whole flight to Cincinnati. Separately, his dad drove home to tell James's younger sister he'd miss her 8th grade graduation that night. By the time they landed on the hospital roof, James was having repeated seizures. The doctors couldn't operate on the facial fractures because his body couldn't handle it. They put him in a medically induced coma and a ventilator. A priest showed up to sit with his parents. And here's the detail Clear slips into the chapter in 2 sentences and moves on from. That same priest had sat with them a decade earlier when James's sister was diagnosed with leukemia. His parents had been in this hospital before, in this building, in this exact kind of night. They didn't need the map. Clear doesn't stay on it, but once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. The next morning, they pulled him out of the coma. He was alive. What came next would take 6 years to sort out. The chapter skips the bad middle years fast. Months of double vision, physical therapy for walking in a straight line. His junior year, he was the only junior cut from the varsity baseball team. He sat in his car flipping through the radio looking for a song that would help. Nothing did. Then he got to college. Denison University, Ohio. Bottom of the roster on the baseball team. And here's where he made the decision the rest of the book is really about, not a grand decision. He just started going to bed early. That was the whole move. Early bedtime, a tidy dorm room, lifting eventually. The grades followed because sleep and tidy rooms do something to attention, and he kept going for 4 years. By senior year, he was academic All-American, top male athlete at Denison. He didn't make it pro, but as he puts it near the end of the chapter, there wasn't one defining moment. There were many. Atomic Habits is a how-to book. 4 laws, a framework. Clear could have opened it with the framework. That's what most behavior change authors do. He didn't. He opened with a 16-year-old forgetting his mother's name. Then he spent the rest of the chapter quietly rebuilding that kid into someone who could write this book at all. The chapter is doing credibility work, and here's the sneaky part. The insistence that there wasn't one defining moment, just a long series of small wins, that's the book's thesis, hidden inside the memoir. You're already being told how the rest of this book works. You just haven't noticed yet. Here's what I keep coming back to. Most memoirs about trauma followed by achievement promise a dramatic reversal. One decision, a breakthrough that changed everything. Clear's opening does the opposite. He says flatly that he doesn't know anyone who succeeded overnight, and he's certainly not one of them. He names his rebuild as a long series of small wins and then moves on. That's the craft move. This isn't the setup for a hero montage. It's the setup for a book that'll spend 300 pages telling you there is no montage. Most self-help wants you to believe one decision is about to change your life. This one opens by refusing that premise. The question I'm sitting with after reading this chapter isn't about habits yet. It's about what it takes to trust the slow version of anything. If someone offered you the dramatic reversal or the long, boring version that actually works, which would you want your life to be? Most people pick the dramatic one. Most people are wrong. The chapter I just talked about is the introduction to Atomic Habits by James Clear, worth reading in full. Next time, the same slow idea, but tested on a team that had been losing for a century. British Cycling, 2003. one coach who believed in 1% margins.